What's up, everyone? It's Ryan from Ryan and Crystal's Reviews, and it's Friday, and that means it's time to check out and review the books that I got this week. My top 5 picks. Were good, but they didn't make my top 5, and then my books that I feel like you could probably just skip if you wanted to and not have to shell out the money for it. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start with the skips. First skip is Catwoman Annual #1. She's not even in this book. This would be good for an Azrael series, or Azrael, however you say his name. It'd be great for that series. This would be like a great first issue. But she's not even in here. So, I mean, if you're enjoying the storyline, the story's okay, but it's just kind of disappointing because she's not in it. So, if you want to skip it, I'd skip it, Next up is X Factor 10. The only good thing about this book is this is the finale of the Hellfire Gala. It's over. We can move on. And thank you. Was really happy with how it started. Was excited for it. And then it just drug on and on and on and on. There are 2 issues that are worth reading out of this whole thing. That's Planet Size X-Men and Sword #6. That's it. Past that, just move on. Because that series was a disaster. We spent weeks, what is it? So this whole story started in Marauders 21, I can't really say that very well, in June 2nd. This ran for an entire month. To learn that the mutants terraformed Mars. Okay, thanks for wasting time. Terrible story. Just my opinion. Next up. This is could be a skip. It might be okay. It was an okay book. It was just kind of there for me. It wasn't great, but at the same time, it's a good series, so I didn't feel like I really wanted to skip it. That's Black Widow. This is #8, if I remember right. Correct? Yes, #8, Legacy 48. So we're getting close to issue 50 legacy-wise. Just okay. Is okay. Story's okay. Not a whole lot. I don't really go into a lot of detail on these. It's just okay. Next up is Department of Truth, issue 10. Again, just okay. They're hunting Bigfoot, or what assumes to be Bigfoot, and it's really like the what are those things called? The jackalope. The jackalope's involved too. It's kind of like people create these own things, and then they take on a life of their own, like the internet does now. And it doesn't really have a whole lot to it. It's just them kind of walking around talking about Bigfoot, and then it kind of stops before you're about to think something's going to happen. It just stops. So it was just kind of okay. It was interesting to see it because it's a good. I mean, I'm going to continue to read the book, but it's just okay for me. Next up, this book was good, but it didn't make my top 5. That is Marvel's #3. This is a neat series about like the older heroes before they get their powers. Like the Fantastic Four hasn't gotten their powers yet. Bucky and Red Guardian are working together, and you see they're going after monsters on what they call the Monster Belt, which is kind of around the tropical equator, stuff like that. So it's neat to see them without their powers. Reed's still super smart, and Johnny's just a little kid. But it's just it was all right. Just didn't make my top 5. It was a good book. Next up is Eternals 5. Same deal. It was a good book. It's a long read, but didn't make my top 5. But other than that, I mean, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Next up, another one. Good book. Shang-Chi #2, Legacy 128. Didn't make my top 5. It was all right. It wasn't. I didn't sit back and I was on the edge of my seat. It was okay. There were some good moments in it, but like I said, it It didn't make my top 5. Not saying these are. It's not saying these books are bad by any stretch, but it didn't make my top 5. Next up, this would be a number 6. So between the two, I felt number 5 was had a little bit slight edge to it. This is United States of Captain America number 1. It's a good story. So we meet the Railroad Captain America and Aaron Fisher, and you know, the shield's gone. Someone stole the shield, broke into Cap's apartment, beat him up, stole the shield, and that's it. So they're on the run to try to find the shield. Sam's involved, of course, and this guy Aaron Fisher. So there's 2 stories. There's that story, then there's an Aaron Fisher solo story. I think of how he kind of becomes, well, not really kind of becomes, but becomes Captain America, or his version of Captain America, because as he says, there are a lot more. I think Steve calls it an underground. At one point, he calls it an underground circle, I think is what he calls it. Something along those lines. Network, an underground network of Captain Americas. And then Sam goes, I think it's Captain's America. Kind of funny. All right, so these are my top 5 books. This is going to be a short video. These are my top 5 books. Number 5, Power Rangers Unlimited, issue 1. Just because of the Shadow Ranger. And that's really it. The story is just okay, but I have a feeling that this is a key book, so that's the reason why it stayed 5. Not really going to talk about it much. The story's okay. It was just okay for me. Number 4, Daredevil. Number 31, Legacy 643. This is the Spider-Man Villains variant, which is a cool shot with Shocker. So, you know, Matt's still in jail. He's in jail as Daredevil. And he beats up all the guys to threaten the warden. And Elektra is on the outside. She is Daredevil. She's the new style Daredevil. And a certain character makes his return, which I think they tried to sell as a key issue. I'm not really sure why, because he's been involved with Daredevil for years, but I don't know. Maybe it's a different version of that character. I haven't really gone into many spoilers, but at this point, it'll probably be, I should say this at the beginning of the video, but I always forget, spoilers. Number 3. So this is a bigger book. Giant Size Spider-Man Chameleon Conspiracy number 1. This was a better ending. I thought this actually picked up the story a little bit more. I did enjoy the back and forth between Chameleon and Teresa Parker. But again, it was almost like I felt it was a good issue because the last 3 or 4 issues have just not been that great. So I feel like maybe I'm only grading this based on the last ones. But this is the finale. This is the conclusion, which is good. And we're going to get into Sinister War coming up next week, I think it is. We get Spider-Man, what is that, issue 70 we're on? Yes, Spider-Man 70, and then we get Sinister War number 1. So happy to be done with that. That was a better ending. I thought it was a lot better. But still, the story itself is kind of one of those you'll probably gloss over in the history of Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man. So number 2 on my list is Infinite Destinies. This is Black Cat Annual number 1. Really enjoyed this. This was a really good entry into the Infinite Destiny storyline. So this is our 3rd book. Let's see some of the art from the series. So this is the connecting variant. What's weird is usually, and I talked about this in Wednesday's video, so they show this page of the Infinity Stones, and that's the one that goes, you know, it kind of talks about how they all connect and they get more powerful off of each other. However, when they were in here, they would add the picture of that person that was involved with it. And like with Iron Man, they added Quantum. With Captain America, they added overtime. They didn't add anybody in this one. So I don't know if that means that, let's see, I forgot his name. Mongdol. So is he supposed to have the Mind Stone? Because to me, it could have either been the Mind Stone because he kind of uses his mind to inhabit other people, or it could be the Power Stone because, you know, he's very powerful and he's more powerful than normal. So I don't know, but they didn't include that in that on that page where they added him to the Mind or the Power Stone or the Soul Stone for that matter. I don't really think he's involved with the Soul Stone, but we'll see. So Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 2 is next. I believe that is this coming week, and we're going to continue on. And you know, I think that storyline, the storyline definitely has gotten better. I thought the first issue was okay. The Iron Man Annual is just okay. The Captain America Annual got a lot better, and I think this one has probably been the best one for me so far. So last but not least, my number 1 pick of the week, Spawn, issue 319. It's weird for me because I feel like I've grown fonder of this series in the last while than I had when I first started reading it years ago. I was just okay with it years ago, and I liked it, don't get me wrong, but then it's like, now that I'm back reading it again, it's just like, it pulls me in a little more each time. And so this continues on from Spawn's Universe number 1, which I thought was a phenomenal book. That was actually my number 1 last week. So Spawn gets back to back from me at least. So Cygor is here. They've got him. They brought him. They try to cage him in a Connex container shipping, a shipping container. That's what I'm trying to say. We would call them Connexes in my line of work. And he's kind of drugged. He gets out of it. He starts to take over. They give him gas. He has a reaction to it. Makes it worse. And there's a guy in the shadows. Of course, there's always a guy in the shadows. Like I said, spoilers. Soul Crusher. And he shows up. And they know Spawn's going to come for Cygor. That's the whole point. But Spawn's over here talking about trying to find... He's trying to find somebody. What's his name? Twitch. He's trying to find Twitch. I'm blanking on the names tonight for some reason. He's trying to find... I just read this a little bit ago. He's trying to find Twitch. And so that's kind of where his part starts. And then it starts over with the Cygor story. So he takes on a very, very old vampire in the beginning of it. And beats the crap out of him. Seals him in there with a couple of his own victims, which is really cool. And then, of course, you know, he figures out there's a key to a lockbox, finds it, and then that's where we go find Twitch. And then we have the Cygor part of the story, like I talked about before. So this has been really good. It's been a solid book. This is my number 1 pick of the week. Looking forward to issue 320, which there's a teaser for 320 on the back of this. That cover, it looks really, really awesome. And all in all, it's a pretty good week. There was a couple books on here that I didn't end up reading. Stray Dogs number 1, I didn't review it because it's an older book. And then Chess number 2, I haven't read number 1. I have number 1, I just haven't read it yet. So I didn't want to read that one and then feel like, oh, well, where am I at in the story? So I got to go back and read number 1, and then I can read number 2. I had also had Tarot Witch the Black Rose this week. It was a good story. It would have made my, I don't have it out here. I'm not sure exactly where I put it away. It would have had my, it would have been in my, not in my top 5, it would have been in that middle tier. And then I also had, same deal with Money Shot. I had that book as well. I read that one. That would have been my skip. That would have been in the skip-its this week. I'm not sure. I put those away somewhere. You guys can't see it, but there's a whole bunch of comics in different boxes down here. And after I read them on Wednesday, I just ended up putting them away, and I don't want to go dive through them to find them. So that would have been a skip-it. And to me, Vampirella wasn't that. I had Vampirella also. I'm not sure if I showed that on Wednesday or not. Same deal. That would have been probably a skip-it. I wasn't into that one this week. And it's Christopher Priest, so it's hard for me not to like Christopher Priest because I've enjoyed his stories over the years, but it just wasn't that great. So, and I know they're getting close to, his run's getting close to being over. So, appreciate you guys watching the video. Pick of the week, Spawn 319, great book. Looking forward to continuing the Spawn universe. We're getting new Spawn books all the time. That's awesome. And please like and subscribe. And happy Friday, everybody. We made it through the week. This was a really hard week for me. Tough week, long week at work. And it's happy. I'm happy to be done with it, I should say. And enjoy the holiday weekend. And we will probably see you tomorrow night. I think I'm going to do a video tomorrow night. I don't know which one yet. But I'm going to do a video tomorrow night. And stay tuned because Hot Toys just announced today, released for pre-order today, the White Vision from WandaVision. And I'm going to take a look at that here in a little bit. I'm going to post that video here after a while too. So appreciate it, guys. Please like and subscribe. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. And enjoy some fireworks on Sunday. Grill out. And we will see you in the next video.